You may have been seduced into becoming a member of a cult and are not even aware of it. To find out, listen to the rest of this video. Okay, look, maybe I'm exaggerating, maybe like cult is a little over the top, all right? But I'm saying that to get your attention because I have a message that I'd like to share with you today. And that message is, don't get sucked in to the cult of boutique-ism. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, years ago, the cult of boutique-ism didn't even exist. Because most people played pretty much the same clarinets for the longest time, back in the 60s and 70s and even in the 80s. Most of the clarinets that were available to us in America were just nickel-plated 17-key 6-string clarinets. And the best clarinet players in the world used those clarinets here in America, or among the best clarinet players in the world. But today, we have boutique-ism. Essentially, boutique-ism is extremely high prices in clarinets. If you haven't noticed, clarinets have gone up in price more than any other item, more than cars, more than education, more than medical insurance, more than anything else. Clarinet prices have gone through the roof. And one of the ways that companies use to justify those high prices is by the adding of bells and whistles that really cost them really relatively a very small amount, but for which they charge an extremely premium price. Well, if a feature and benefit really is important to you, and it really does provide the feature and benefit that you really sincerely need, then I don't want to discourage you from going after that feature and benefit and paying the price if you feel like the price is justified. But the question is when you see all the glitter and gold of the feature and benefit, you must ask yourself, does the feature and benefit justify the massive increase in price that you often see that accompanies it? Is it really that valuable to you? And does it really contribute to the final performance of the instrument in such a significant way that it's worth paying thousands of dollars for? Well, these are questions that it takes knowledge and experience and critical thinking to penetrate. But before we talk a little more about that, I want to share with you one other thing about features and benefits. We all know about the A-flat, E-flat key on the left side. Now, some people love that key and they use it and they've conditioned themselves to using it. I know a lot of orchestral players that do. But other players were excited to get that feature, and they paid a premium price for it, that A-flat, E-flat key. And, but in actual use, what they found out is that, I don't use it that much. And it's often in the way. And in fact, it's more trouble than it's worth, because it was difficult to use. It was awkward for them to use, especially in the placement. They either couldn't reach it or they bumped into it all the time, depending on what size their hand was. And finally they decided, I'll just have it taken off. So there they paid a lot for a feature that they thought they were going to use a lot, but it ended up being more of a liability for them than an advantage. I recall a Chinese clarinet player who's a wonderful virtuoso came to my shop several years ago, and he was going back to China, and he was a real virtuoso, going back to China to promote a certain kind of clarinet, and the company was going to in turn promote him. A quid pro quo we're all quite familiar with. And he had one of those clarinets that used the thumb low F, and the low F the low F is notoriously flat on many small bore clarinets, especially. It can be very, very flat, especially if you have to play it at a full dynamic. So manufacturers have developed a thumb key that you open when you play the low F to bring it up so it's not so flat. And then you can have a pretty well in tune low F without sacrificing the clarion right hand C, which also tends to be sharp. So there you got the 12th of the FC. You got a very flat low note, the low F, and you got a very sharp middle range note, the right hand clarion C. And so that's been a long time dilemma on clarinets. Well, the solution for this manufacturer was the vented thumb. The only problem was that when he came here and played it, the F was still quite flat, and the clarion C, which I assume would be then perfectly in tune, was also sharp. So we worked quite a while trying to improve that low F, about 2.5 hours. And in the process, just to add a little punch to my point, I took our 576 clarinet and played a perfect FC 12th on it, an in tune low F, and a dead nuts in tune right hand clarion C. And I made the point to him that if the clarinet's properly designed in the bore and in the tapers, you don't need the bell and whistle because the acoustical design is correct. The only time a lot of bells and whistles are needed is when acoustical design is somehow flawed, and so added mechanism has to be put onto the clarinet to make a correction that actually should be made acoustically by some other means. Now, the other point about features and benefits is that whenever you add mechanism, whenever you add keys, the two things happen. You add weight to the clarinet, which is no fun, but also the increased amount of posts in the clarinet can increase the chance of cracking because the more posts drilled, the weaker the wood gets. And also the increased amount of metal and post drilling and all that also, at least in my experience, seems to damp or deaden the response and cut down on the resonance. When I was at LeBlanc, for instance, I did the acoustical designs on the concerto and the opus clarinets. And these were wonderful clarinets. I really loved playing them, and I loved preparing them for the customers at LeBlanc. But my favorite was always the standard 17-key 6-ring concerto clarinet over the opus, because the 17-key 6-ring clarinet just played so much better. It seemed to resonate and respond better. And the added key, the A-flat, E-flat key with the post drilled in the right hand, seemed to change the response in a clarinet that was quite negative. Now, if you're skeptical about that, ask any bassoonist. They can tell you that a bad lacquer job on the bassoon can actually ruin the bassoon, can ruin the tone and response of the bassoon. Just the lacquer job. And no, bassoonists are not psychotic, or at least not generally. And I've heard this from bassoonist after bassoonist, that lacquer jobs have to be very, very carefully monitored, elsewise you'll end up ruining the bassoon. So small things can do a lot of damage to the performance of an instrument, especially when a person has very high demands. Okay, so what's going to protect you from being sucked into this cult of boutique-ism? And there's only really 3 things that will save you, and that is experience, knowledge, and critical thinking. Whenever you see a feature and benefit, step back, don't just go for it, and really think it out. Is this feature and benefit, is it really something that's important to me in my playing? Will it really make a significant difference? And is that difference enough difference to justify the high price? At Written Iron Clarinet Products, one of the things I've tried to do is to share as much knowledge with you as I can so that you can have the tools of judgment and discernment to make intelligent choices for yourself. I've always said of our products that the more you know, the better what we do looks. And the less you know, the more you're the victim of the cult of boutique-ism. And then people can easily make you feel that, oh, if you don't own just this clarinet, if you don't have just this brand or these pieces of equipment, you're really nobody and you have no hope of succeeding. This is complete propaganda and nonsense, and let me encourage you to avoid it. Avoiding it through learning, through knowledge, through education, through understanding the clarinet properly, so you can judge appearance, reality from appearance. That will not only save you from being sucked into a cult, but it will also save you a lot of money. And you will still get the best clarinet that you can get. The clarinet that really suits you, and you'll know why you're playing that clarinet, and it won't be just because somebody else recommends it. Okay, so having said that, that's my message on how to avoid the cult of boutique-ism. I have one more item to mention to you very briefly. We're very close to having 2,000 subscribers, and that's pretty good for a little Clarinerd website, and especially a website that concentrates on a very small range of subject knowledge, like our site does. So, that's kind of a milestone. 2,000 is a kind of milestone. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Or if you have friends that you know haven't subscribed or don't know about our site, encourage them to take a look at our videos. Lots of educational videos that are there for free, there for just for you, to learn and to understand and to know the clarinet better. So please get them to subscribe, and soon we'll go over the top with 2,000. And when we do, then I'm going to celebrate by making some really cool special offers on this website, or on this YouTube page. Okay, so please think about doing that, and maybe we'll be offering something really special that'll save you money, and something that will help you, and something you'll really want. Okay, that you thought, well, I just don't want to pay that much for it in the past. Well, it'll go at a reduced price because you help put us over the top. That's it. Thanks for watching. If you have questions, subject matter you want covered, please notify us. You can write us in the comment section below, and I'll do what I can to consider what you have to say and put up a video on those subjects, okay? If you're interested in it, you can assume that lots of other clarinet players will be interested in it too, okay? Thanks for watching.